without any further ado, I'm going to let us get on with the rest of the programme. I'm going to invite Deirdre up to give you her very interesting keynote, and hope you enjoy your day. Again, thanks to the team, and have a brilliant day in the Gibson Hotel in Dublin on a sunny Saturday afternoon. All right?
Hi everybody, it's great to be here. As an ex-primary school teacher myself, I'm delighted with the work that etwinning does. To have those opportunities to reach out and work with others is really, really essential, because it really helps widen your perspective and actually get you to communicate with other people and see other people's perspectives. So well done to the project, and I hope to hear more about it, okay? Today, what I'm trying to do is, now it's going to be very difficult for me because I have to stand in one place. Those of you who know me know that I'm a wanderer, okay? So we'll see, do I manage it for a whole 30 minutes. Today, and this is what I really believe, and it's really a testament to teachers as well. I really believe that education is the most powerful weapon that we can use to change the world. I don't think we can underestimate the power of it. Nelson Mandela was somebody that I was really would look up to. I was delighted to be able to visit Robben Island and actually feel the spirit of the man. And he really believed this is the way to change the world. And I think you can too. What we really have to be aware of, though, is the world has changed. These were the skills that are in decline over the last number of years. These things like non-routine manual, non-routine analytic, etc. These are the skills that are in decline. This work was done 20 years ago. We were aware of it then. The skills that are in demand are critical thinking and complex communication. So we have to decide, how are we actually preparing our students of today to actually meet those demands that are out there? Over the last 20 years, they've actually increased. So if you look at this graph, you see the gap is widening all the time. This research is done by Levy and Murnane, and you're looking at working with complex problems, thinking in innovative ways. So how do we do that? And if you look at then the top 10 skills that are required in 2015, 2020, you'll see there on top, it's complex problem solving, critical thinking, communicating with others, project management. And if you think that's going away, they're not. Okay, they're actually becoming more and more important. So actually engaging in e-twinning is actually developing a lot of these skills. So now we have to say, well, how do we do this in innovative and imaginative ways? So how do we build our curriculum in such a way that we're hitting these, because these are the skills that are in demand, not only for people to actually live and thrive in the complex world, but actually when you talk about well-being later on, I think that in this digital age, we need to be aware of these things too. So in order to be a rounded individual, we need to have these skills to actually live and thrive in the world today. To try and capture, to imagine what the type of world is, this is a really good video I want you to actually look at. Have a look at the different things, and it just captures in a very 2 minutes. And it's a video that's done by the Strategic Alliance and the World Economic Forum that gives a picture of the world we live in today and how do we actually prepare people to live in this world.
How are artificial intelligence, migration, and education connected? How can boosting innovation, reducing inequality, and combating corruption help us to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals? In an increasingly complex world, these connections can be hard to see. Yet a systemic understanding of global issues is essential. The World Economic Forum developed strategic intelligence as a set of cutting-edge digital tools to explore, understand, and anticipate the forces driving transformations around the world. At its heart are the Forum's transformation maps. They depict and analyze the interdependencies between a wide range of topics, illustrating how developments in one area can impact others. By drawing on the collective intelligence of the Forum's networks, transformation maps explain the factors driving change across industries, economies, and global issues. For example, by disrupting every aspect of technology, the Fourth Industrial Revolution will have a profound impact on governance and affect the scale and character of conflict. That will test the traditional role of governments, even as they confront other challenges such as the aging populations in advanced economies. Transformation maps cover more than 200 topics and are available in multiple languages. Each topic is defined by its key issues, the most strategic trends shaping that topic. Because we are not looking at topics in isolation, but instead at entire systems in transformation, We highlight how the issues depicted in one map are interdependent with other maps. The content is continuously updated by leading experts from the forum's extensive network. It is supplemented by a machine-curated feed of the latest findings and analysis from top universities and research institutions, and is enhanced by technologies used in machine learning, artificial intelligence, and advanced network analytics. The platform also incorporates economic, social, and political data, as well as time-lapse satellite imagery, allowing you to visualize trends in areas such as sea level rise, deforestation, global trade flows, and the refugee crisis. Strategic intelligence is the World Economic Forum's most advanced knowledge resource you can use to navigate today's increasingly complex and interconnected world.
So as you saw there, I think it actually summarizes the world we live in. It's very complex. What's even interesting is the fact you talked about sort of the interdependencies. And in order to appreciate the interdependencies, we need to get to know people. We need to get to understand the world we live in and realize that everything is not in isolation. And I think that's the power of even this etwinning, and the fact that you get to know one another across Europe. But you need to understand as well, I think, the problems we live in. How do we, and I think it really summed it up there, we have these economic issues, we have these migration issues, we have employment issues, we have war issues, and how do we prepare people to live in this world that we can actually capture it, that we can be in control of it. And the world is changing, it's changing really rapidly. If you look at that diagram here from 1990, the last 30 years, it actually captures, like, we were connecting, then we had tools that enabled us to engage. Now they're using the word like transform. But who's in charge of the transformation? Okay, we have to decide who's in charge of it. And how do we take control of it? And how do we enable and empower our students to take control of it? And on top of that, then we have this sort of, many of you will recognize the symbol because it actually took the world by storm this time last year, ChatGPT. I mean, it was the one time I actually saw it, sort of the university going to meltdown. I was delighted, do you know what I mean? I was absolutely thrilled because I said, for the first time ever now, they're actually going to really look at assessment, do you know what I mean? And actually think, because I've been always telling my students, I really don't need what you need to sort of write for me. So I actually focus on workshops and doing things and everything else. This was terrific. To me, I said, hallelujah. And I think it's great because we really have to say, well, if a machine can chug out what we've asked people to do, how do we actually engage people to do things very differently, to actually humanize and actually leverage the power of what we're doing? So it really shook the world up. So it's a real watershed moment. And we have to make sure that it is a watershed, that we will change, that it actually won't be a quagmire, and that it actually will enable us to be more human, and that it won't go the other way. So I think we really need to grasp this moment in time. This was issued a number of years ago, and I remember when it came out as well, people sort of were up in arms about it. But I think what's really important is that we need to understand this. If they aren't able to understand the complex digital landscape we live in, they're no longer able to participate fully in the economic, cultural and social life that people are around them. So we need to grasp the nettle. We can't keep ignoring it. So we need to say, well, what do we do? And as teachers and educators, we have a huge responsibility, a fantastic moral imperative to make sure that the people we interact with are capable of changing and shaping the world in the future. When I qualified as a teacher, I remember my grandmother gave me a plaque and it said, to teach is to touch a life forever. And I don't think we understand that. So as a primary school teacher, over your lifetime, you'll have a minimum interaction, if you have 20 children, over 40 years, 800 children. That's just directly. Never mind all the other children you have reach out to. And a post-primary, it's 5 times more because you have at least 5 different groups, over the school year. So we have a huge place in society, and we need to realize how we actually can reach out and make sure we change the world the way we need to change it. We've been tackling this job of digital technology for a long time. We were only talking earlier, and I'm saying, I'm doing this sort of for decades. And I use this like Fihiblian egg fast, like 20 years growing, because our first digital strategy, and it's more now, was in 1997. And since then, we've had a number of them. We had been leading. We're very good at policy, okay? What we need to do now is actually really implement it. So these are the policies we've had over time. So we have been ahead of the posse. In the digital strategy in 2015, if you watch the language, we were talking about the vision was ICT integration, but we were talking about being able to enhance teaching, learning and assessment so that young people can become engaged thinkers, active learners, knowledge constructors and global citizens. Okay, so that we were aware of what needed to be done. And we tried to actually develop a digital learning framework to enable people to think about how you do this. Unfortunately, only a couple of years into it, when we were really getting our feet under the table, COVID-19 happened. Now, it had its positives in the fact that, we were able to, they were thrown into it to actually engage with the use of digital technologies during especially the 2 periods of school lockdown and over the time of the pandemic. And there was an increase in collegiality and in teamwork. People, they did get engaged in professional learning, etc. But a lot of people felt uncomfortable as well because it was a challenge for people who hadn't engaged. However, a lot of people began to think that sort of online was the only way to do things. And they also thought that this was what digital learning was, when it wasn't. It was actually a sort of an emergency remote response. And being digital in education and being digital in learning means an awful lot more. So we have to really think, okay, and this is a phrase I coined up, and I think of AC/DC, but it's actually showing my age now, but it's what I was trying to capture is, rather than throw the baby out with the bathwater, we have to actually think of sort of, what happened during COVID, but what happened before COVID, and what are we now going to do after COVID, post-COVID? What are we going to do? How are we going to actually merge what we've learned? And what does this digital innovation and education really mean? What do we mean by innovation? What does innovation look like? It's different in different contexts. What does this mean for education? Like, what does innovation in education mean? And then a lot of the time, we're very confused, perplexed, sort of bewildered at this stage, like what exactly is being asked for. And then we're talking about what do we mean by digital innovation? So I think it's questions we really need to try and sort of answer. What do we mean by any of and all of these terms when we actually combine them? And they're all influenced by our values, beliefs and experiences. I love these ads. You'll see them in HSBC, do you know what I mean, the bank ads. You'll see them around the airports. They're really, really innovative, whoever does their sort of communication program. It's the same thing, but when we look at it, depending on our experiences, it means different things. So that was the one thing we have to take on board, is the fact that what I think about something and you think about something is very different. And we actually, again, need to be able to communicate and talk to one another in order to be able to understand what are our values, beliefs and assumptions, and what do we mean when we say digital? What do we mean when we say innovation? And how do we actually then talk about digital education and innovation? What do we mean by it? What does it look like? So as we try and look at education and reimagine it, we have to think of design for learning. How do we design for learning? One thing that cracks me up is language like sort of lesson, sort of planning. I prefer to think of it as designing for learning.